Hello everyone, this is Cobalt. This is the next video in my character analysis series for Brawlhalla. Stick around till the end to hear about entering the giveaway to win community colors, emotes, weapon skins, sidekicks, avatars, or even the battle pass, and voting for the next legends. And if you want to skip all this and get straight into the information, there's a timestamp in the description, and don't forget to subscribe so you can keep up with the release of your favorite legend. In these analyses, I wanted to focus solely on the character's signatures. Light attack combos are covered much more in depth than I ever could elsewhere and function pseudo-comparably for all characters of that weapon class. So I'm not going to be discussing the general neutral of the character with their weapons unless it pertains in some way to their signatures. Firstly, I want to give clear descriptions of the terminology I'll be using. Startup frames are the amount of frames that happen after a move has begun until the first hitbox of the move becomes active. Active frames are the duration of frames that the move contains hitboxes that can collide with your opponent. FAF, or First Actionable Frame, is the first frame available where your character is able to move again after the move has been started. For all of this data, I use the character's jump to display the first actionable frame. Lastly, on miss refers to the move not connecting with an opponent, and on hit refers to the move making contact with an opponent. I'm going to be doing my analysis today on the next voted in legend, Cross. Cross was a member of the US military in Italy. There, he found his signature double-sided coin and struck a deal with a demon. After returning into the States, he took over New York City, eventually got into killing the wizard population to obtain magical artifacts. People began looking for him, and along with the demon, he fought them all off. Cross's weapons are blasters and gauntlets. Both of these weapons are okay in the metagame right now. Blasters are considered a little lower on the tier lists right now, but they're still solid, and D-Light recovery is always good, especially whenever coupled with Cross's solid attack stat. He has 7 attack, 4 dexterity, 6 defense, and 5 speed. He's seen a few competitive results, but has definitely not been a staple of the metagame or anything. So, is it his SIGs that are holding him back, or are his weapons and stat distribution making it harder for him to keep up? Well, let's find out. Let's start with his blasters. Blaster's side SIG has 17 frames of startup, active frames from 18 to 35 with an FAF of 52. It functions differently on miss than it does on hit. Should the move connect, it converts into a second hit with new active frames at 18 and 28 to 32 with a new FAF of 54. Cross jumps forward with a kick. If this initial hit collides with the opponent, Cross shoves his blasters towards his opponent for a point-blank shot. The SIG kills quite early. Frankly, a lot of his SIGs have pretty good knockout potential. The SIG has slightly below average startup and FAF with a decent amount of active frames. The range this SIG has is rather limited in terms of its hitbox's size, and can be contested with most disjointed hitboxes thanks to this, though the travel distance on it isn't terrible. It functions as a good punish option and can hit well at close range, so it has its utility. Blaster's neutral SIG has 15 frames of startup, active frames from 16 to 30 with an FAF of 53. It functions differently on miss than it does on hit. Should the move connect, it has active frames from 16 to 37 and 52 to 56 with an FAF of 83. Cross fires multiple shots straight into the air from his blasters. The SIG has a solid amount of active frames and can be held in a similar fashion to Kai's down SIG on Spear, so it can last for quite a long time. If held for maximum time, the active frames extend to frame 97, which is an insanely long time for a move to be active. Additionally, the hitboxes are slightly angled, so they can catch opponents just to the side of Cross, and can catch opponents trying to jump over you really well. I'm frankly surprised that the startup and FAF are below average, especially whenever this move has as many active frames as it does. It's not a bad SIG, it's just a little niche, and can be punished pretty hard if missed thanks to the lengthy duration if held for any amount of time. Not to mention Cross is stationary during the whole thing. Blaster's down SIG has 16 frames at startup, active frames from 17 to 25 with an FAF of 51. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Cross fires 2 simultaneous shots from his blasters at body level to the right and left. The SIG has similar frame data to his side SIG, and it has slightly below average startup and FAF. It knocks out opponents really well and has solid coverage on either side of him and bears utility on covering opponents trying to cross him up. Haha. It's not a bad SIG in my opinion, though doesn't have the best range and leaves Cross stationary and vulnerable should it miss. Next up is his Gauntlets. Gauntlet's side SIG has 19 frames of startup, active frames from 20 to 26 with an FAF of 50. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. Cross summons his demon and extends a mighty punch outward. This move has average startup and lower than average FAF. It's got okay range, and Cross remains stationary during this SIG as well. It's good at punishing opponents thanks to the disjointed hitboxes on it. It has decent coverage in front of Cross and some solid range. Its utility on his kit is useful, but the slower startup may not be the best for his moveset. Gauntlet's neutral SIG has 19 frames of startup, active frames from 20 to 26 with an FAF of 46. It functions the same on miss as it does on hit. This is probably my favorite SIG on his kit. Cross jumps upward and throws out a mean flying punch at his opponents. This move kills really early, and it's really satisfying to land thanks to the power that it delivers. It has average startup thanks to the slight travel distance and surprisingly low FAF at only 46, which is pretty good. I think it's a good SIG on his kit, but it does have a very limited utility due to its poor range. But if you catch a jump or a high recovery with it, man, this move does it feel good to land. Gauntlets down SIG has 20 frames of startup, active frames from 21 to 25 with an FAF of 49. It functions differently on miss than it does on hit. On hit, the move converts into several different hitboxes with active frames from 21 to 25, 28, and 44 to 49 with a new FAF of 68. Cross's demon slides his hand along the ground. If it connects with the opponent, it locks them in place and Cross dashes forward, delivering a hefty uppercut to his opponent. This isn't the best SIG on his kit to me despite the cool animations. Cross remains stationary during the entire travel distance of the move, and the active hitboxes it provides are rather small. It's got average startup and below average FAF, but I don't think that that's enough. It struggles to have much utility on his kit, but can punish approaching opponents, but it does leave Cross really vulnerable. So overall, his SIGs are actually not as bad as I had anticipated them to be in terms of their frame data. They all have average or slightly below average startup, and have surprisingly low FAF, which can be helpful. Though it is worth noting that his Blaster's startup is significantly lower than his Gauntlet's startup on all of his SIGs. They all have a very high amount of knockout potential, which I'd say they certainly could use given their slightly below average range and stationary nature for most of them. His SIGs are a little difficult for me to summarize, really. They aren't the best, I think, because they don't offer him a whole lot of coverage with them, in my opinion, at least in terms of range, but they can kill crazy early, and if used as punish options, they can be quite effective at doing that job. I don't think he'll ever be a dominating presence in the metagame, honestly. He's a little too slow to do so, and I think that his SIGs don't exactly help him out in that regard, frankly. I like Cross a lot, and I think that he's one of the coolest looking legends, and I like his origin story. I love playing him as well, he's really fun, but competitively, I don't think that his SIGs offer him enough utility to overcome his flaws. He's still incredibly fun to play though, and I'd always recommend playing him. Today's code to put down in the comments is Gungrave, along with your Twitter handle, or social media of your preference, and if you get that reference, I appreciate it. Also, check out my Twitch account. I'm trying to stream more consistently and play with viewers. Once these videos are done, I'll also have more time to do that and maybe play some different games with you guys as well. The link to my channel will be in the description below. Also, happy late birthday to my main man, Genric. I thought that this video was going to come out on the 22nd of October, but since the videos were delayed a week by mistake, we're 1 week off. So anyway, happy late birthday, man. Tune in tomorrow for coverage on the highest voted legend from this week. Comment to vote for next week's 5 legends. I'll be continuing this once a day, Monday through Friday, over the next 10 weeks until all 50 legends are covered. So thanks for joining me on this ride. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss the release of your favorite legend, and hope to see you back for the next one. Once again, I'm Cobalt, and thanks for watching.